And so begins another Monday edition of Bet with Tyler Fulghum and Anita Marks. Our buddy Mike T is going to join us back on a Monday night heater. Some reaction or no action, dabble in the NBA. And the World Series continues as the Astros force a Game 6 in H-Town tomorrow night. We will touch on it all here on the next 30-minute episode of Bet. Anita, I borrowed from your playbook, as you can see, in light of the big trade made by the Rams. I am rocking, since I don't know, a Von Miller jersey yet, just rocking his new buddy along the defensive line, Aaron Donald, who I'm sure is very happy is going to have some help getting after quarterbacks in the NFC.
I'm sure he's going to be ecstatic. In fact, I will be sure that once the Von Miller Los Angeles Rams t-shirt is printed, I will have it shipped to Las Vegas, and it will be yours, my friend. That is my gift to you. I'm very excited about this addition to your defense.
Wow, I mean, could I be any luckier to not only be hosting with the very talented, very talented Anita Marks, but she's also generous. She's going to give me a free Von Miller t-shirt. I absolutely love and adore you. So let's get rocking here, Anita. We start every Monday with reaction or no action. Let's dive in first and foremost with this. A dog of 7 or more, touchdown or more, will win outright in Week 9. We just saw the Jets win as, I think, 11-point dogs was the closing number. 11.5-point dogs, I am told, the closing number against those upstart Cincinnati Bengals. So reaction or no action, next week we'll have another massive upset from a dog of a touchdown or more.
I should say reaction because I got totally burned by Mike White and those Jets this week because I was all over Cincinnati, but I'm going to go no action here. I'm a little concerned as we're getting closer to the trade deadline. All these cellar dwellers, these bad teams that are getting 7, 10, 10.5, 14 points, they're going to sell off their roster. Everything's going to look different. So I have no action here, and I'm looking at some of the games. Texans against the Dolphins. Again, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. The Colts against the Jets. Everybody knows, listen, don't take Mike White easy now. Like, we all learned our lesson in a hard way yesterday. Jags aren't going to beat the Bills. Denver's not going to beat the Cowboys. Tennessee's not going to beat the Rams, especially, unfortunately, with Derrick Henry now with that foot injury. So no action here for me, Tyler. No action.
Yeah, I am with you as well. When I looked this morning, the news hadn't broken that Von Miller was going to be traded to the Rams, and we didn't know yet that Derrick Henry was going to miss substantial time, perhaps the entire season. So when I looked at Jacksonville, the Jets, and the Texans, no, those teams weren't going to win. Now that the Titans are 7.5, it interests me slightly. Just slightly, although I do think they're a better bet on the spread to cover than to win outright. So I say no action as well, although I will grant the Titans have the best chance of any touchdown or more underdog to come away with an outright victory. Speaking of those Rams and those Titans, because that is the matchup we'll see next Sunday night, the Rams, after acquiring Von Miller, are even money to win the NFC West. They're tied atop the division as far as records, 7-1 with the Arizona Cardinals, but the Cardinals have that crucial head-to-head tiebreaker, beating LA in LA earlier this season. Of course, we'll match up again in Arizona. We'll see what the records are when they get to that game, but reaction or no action, as it stands right now, Los Angeles will win the NFC West. Anita.
Reaction. I'm doubling down. Tyler, you know this. Heading into the season before Game 1, I had the Bills and the Rams as your Super Bowl match. And, man, Rams are in it to win it. Look at that defense. Everybody's talking about, the addition of Von Miller with Darnold, but how about this? What about Leonard Floyd? Everybody's sleeping on Leonard Floyd. Dude's got 6.5 sacks already this season. He had 7 total last year. We're not even halfway through the season, and he's got 6.5. Von Miller is a playmaker. A lot of people not really too over the moon with that Rams defense. Statistically, they're kind of, top 10, top 12. Von Miller is going to make a big difference on the defensive side of the ball. I love it. Reaction, my friend.
I am with you here as well. Reaction on my Rams winning the NFC West. I know at this juncture in the season, the Cardinals have that head-to-head tiebreaker, but I think by the time we get to December, we will see the Rams only getting stronger and getting better. And again, the Cardinals have been wildly awesome this year. They have wildly outperformed expectation, but I'm still kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. We didn't expect this to be a 14-3 team, a 15-2 team. If any team was going to do that in this division, we'll look at the Rams adding Matt Stafford to Sean McVay, Jalen Ramsey, and Aaron Donald. So if Von Miller provides what we think he can provide alongside Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald, with Jalen Ramsey chasing around opposing wide receivers at the back end of that defense, I think that's the team that's going to be getting better into December and January, whereas the Cardinals could potentially fall off. Keep in mind, Kyler not exactly 100% right now. He's dealing with a day-to-day ailment, and he's someone, because the fact that he runs around a lot, absorbs more hits than someone like Matthew Stafford. If he gets hurt, well, that's big-time issues for the Arizona Cardinals, because he's certainly the most valuable player on that team. All right, finally, the Dallas Cowboys go on the road last night with Cooper Rush. Not only cover, but get the outright win, against the Minnesota Vikings. Reaction or no action, Anita? Dallas will win the NFC East Division by 5 games or more this season.
Listen, reaction here. If you watched that game last night, I mean, are you kidding me? This is a Dallas Cowboys team that goes on the road to take on the Minnesota Vikings, coming off of a bye and wins with Cooper Rush. It wasn't even so much the offense, it was the defense, right? Like Randy Gregory, Parsons, right? Like even Diggs. Unfortunately, we got to see what happened with that injury late in the game, but nonetheless, you know, I didn't expect this Dallas Cowboys defense to be this good. So, man, reaction. I think you got to buy into it. I think they very well, looking at their schedule, Denver, Atlanta, Kansas City, Washington twice, the Giants, the Eagles, they could very well win 13 games, where I think either the Giants or the Eagles will be lucky if they win 7 to 8. So I'm going reaction here.
We're 3 for 3, baby. Reaction as well. I think this Dallas team has a legitimate claim, despite everything we've seen happen today, as the best team in the NFL. There's a handful of teams that have just one loss in the win-loss column, and Dallas is amongst them. There's only one team, however, in the NFL that has a perfect 7-0, undefeated ATS, and it is your Dallas Cowboys. And they got an ATS victory last night with their backup quarterback on the road in a hostile environment. What does that tell me? It's not just Dak Prescott. This team is deep on both sides of the ball. And dare I say, they are being coached extremely well by Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, and Kellen Moore. So for those reasons, I think they will win an awful division by at least 5 games, because the Giants, the Eagles, and the Washington football team kind of stink, despite what the Eagles did to the Lions yesterday. I think that's Dallas's to cruise to by at least 5 games in the NFC East. All right, Anita, let's welcome in our GM here at Bet, the one and only Mike Tannenbaum, joined us as he is so gracious enough to do on Mondays. Mike T getting back on track as far as Monday Night Football last week. We'll get to that in just a second, Mike T, but I mentioned the Cowboys behind Cooper Rush getting a victory. You had Mike White leading the Jets to a victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, and Trevor Siemian coming on in relief of Jameis Winston and helping the Saints beat the Buccaneers in the Superdome on Sunday. So of all those unlikely heroes at quarterback to lead his team to victory or help his team to victory, which player's performance impressed you the most?
Yeah, guys, I would say it's Cooper Rush. If you think about it, fans are back in stadiums. Home field advantage should start coming back into play. Minnesota traditionally has been a really hard place to play. And Cooper Rush went in there last night, guys, and played really well. Credit Kellen Moore, some wrinkles. We saw 2 offensive linemen in the backfield at some point. They were able to run the ball downhill, use that for play action. But I thought he played really, really well. That gives Dallas the luxury of bringing Dak back a little bit more slowly. There's 5 great teams in the NFC. Only one of those 5 will get the bye week. Player load management, injuries, all those things may tip the balance. That was a massive win for Dallas last night on the road.
All right, Mike T, the Chargers lose to the Patriots and Mac Jones. You and I love Mac Jones, buddy. Now, looking at this division, right, the Chargers, even though coming off of a loss, they're still favored to win the AFC West at plus 140. Of course, Kansas City's at plus 180. You got the Raiders at 3-1. How do you see this division panning out? Who wins this division?
Oh, to me, it's the Chargers. Look, Justin Herbert wasn't great yesterday, but I'll say this. Keenan Allen had a massive drop. There was a miscommunication on that Jared Cook interception where I think Herbert thought he was going to break outside. Cook took it back inside. But he is the future of that division, taking nothing away from the great year that Derek Carr has had and the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. I just really think that Herbert, look, he went into Kansas City. He went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. He was the better player. And with those weapons, I think the defense will continue to improve. It's not great, but I think they will continue to get better. And overall, I think they're the most complete team between the Raiders and the Chiefs and themselves. And that's why I like the Chargers to win the division.
Speaking of that division, Mike T, we have those Kansas City Chiefs out of the AFC West hosting the New York Football Giants on Monday Night Football. And after a brief little blemish a couple weeks ago with Bear and I, you got back on track with Monday Night Football last week, going 3 for 4 in your bets. You had Seattle plus the points. You had the total going under. The only thing that let you down was Jameis Winston going under his total, Geno going well under his passing total as well. So Mike T's Monday Night Heater continues. I have stopped. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I have stopped giving my picks to our producer, Weimer. I now just wait to hear what you have to say during bet, and then I just tell Weimer to put that down as my picks as well for Monday Night Football. So we got KC laying a big number, 10.5, a total of 52. Mike T, tell me what to do on Monday night.
Yeah, I like the Giants, and I like the Giants strong. I think they have a very good chance to win this game. The Giants are top 5 in explosive plays, meaning 16 plays or more. Top 5 in the NFL. Kansas City's bottom 5 in defending explosive plays. I think that's a big matchup in the game. The other X factor tonight is look for Daniel Jones to make a lot of plays with his feet. I think the Giants win this game. They definitely cover. This is going to be one of these games where it puts a perfect ribbon on this weekend of Trevor Siemian, Mike White, Cooper Rush. The Giants go in, beat Kansas City straight up.
All right, Mike. Patrick Mahomes, marinating this for a minute. Same number of interceptions, 9 that Zach Wilson has on the season. Somebody pinch me. Does he toss a pick tonight? You can wager on that at plus 130.
No, he doesn't. I think, Anita, he's a little bit more conservative. I think he understands what's been going on, and I think he's going to play a good game, but I don't think this is going to be one of those transformational games that, oh my God, did you see that throw? I think this is going to be a little bit more of checking the ball down, trying to get the ball between the numbers to Kelsey, and I think it's a 10% less of a explosive game for them, more conservative, and therefore no interception.
Mike Tannenbaum, RGM here at Bet, taking the points with the Giants. Even says he might sprinkle a little on the money line upset with their explosive play offense and the issues the Chiefs continue to have on defense. Mike T, appreciate you, as always, joining us here on a Monday night. Enjoy the game.
All right, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, Anita, that now means it is our turn to wager or bet Monday Night Football, and we laid it out. Giants, 10.5-point dogs in Kansas City, total of 52. We know where I'm going now. I just told you whatever Mike T tells me to do, I am going to do. So put it in ink. I am taking the Giants plus the points, 10.5. Are you with me and Mike T is the question, Anita.
I've been on the Giants since earlier in the week. In fact, I play in a pick'em pool with the firefighters who live across the street from me. And I'm the only one in the pool that picked the Giants to win. If they win, winner, chicken dinner tonight. So I'm watching the game with the firefighters at some local watering hole. But nonetheless, I'm on the Giants plus 10.5. I'm on the Giants on the money line. I like them over 20.5 team total points. 23-7 as a road dog. Their last 30 road dog games. This is a Kansas City Chiefs team. I don't think people realize just how god-awful they are. 29 against the run, 31st against the pass. They have 17 turnovers. We just talked about it with Mike T. Even Patrick Mahomes alone, 9 interceptions. So I think this is a great spot for the Giants coming off a really feel-good win last week. And keep in mind, again, this is a Kansas City team. Only put up 3 points, Tyler, against Tennessee. Meanwhile, when the Giants faced Tennessee, they put up 27. I just think right now, the Giants are the better team. And I think the Giants are going to win outright.
Sounds like if everyone else is on KC and you're the only one on the Giants, it's not winner, chicken dinner. It's winner, caviar dinner and champagne dinner for
right.
Anita Marks if you get that victory. You might be splurging a little bit. I'm with you. I do think the Giants provide enough offense to go over their total. I think Kansas City is going to rebound from the 3 points they scored against the Titans. So, again, I'm on the Giants plus 10.5. I also like the over 52 as well. I do think there'll be some scoring with the Chiefs rebounding from their worst effort in the Mahomes era. And, of course, the Giants having Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard helps out big time to have some weapons for Daniel Jones to use against that abysmal, awful Kansas City defense at Arrowhead Stadium. So that's how we're looking at the game. We agree with Mike T. Of course, we like to dig into the prop game, the prop queen and the prop prince. I will yield the floor to you, Your Majesty. Let me hear what you have on your prop card this evening.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with Daniel Jones. I think he's got a solid night. Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney expected back tonight. We'll see. All right. Hopefully they're warming up. They feel good. Daniel Jones over 1.5 touchdown passes. You could get it plus money. And get this, his rushing yards over, it opened at 21.5. It's now up to 26.5. This is why you need to read our chalk column that comes out early Monday morning. Make sure you look for it. But I'm still on over 26.5. Obviously not as good as 21.5, but over 26.5. And no Saquon Barkley, as we know. Devontae Booker averaging 18 to 20 touches in the backfield for the Giants. I like over 50.5 rushing yards for Devontae Booker. Also, anytime touchdown for him at plus 135.
All right, I have one crossover with you as far as the prop game is concerned, and it is Daniel Jones. I'll admit as well, when I looked this morning, it was 22.5. So I don't like that 4 yards have been added to it. That kind of stinks, but I will point this out, Anita. Jones has cleared 26.5 yards. Has had at least 27 rushing yards in 5 of the 7 games he's played. He's third at his position in rushing yards behind only Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. And Kansas City has allowed more rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks, 241, than any other defense in the NFL. On the other side, again, like I said, I think Mahomes and that offense rebound in a big way. I'm going over 300.5 passing yards at minus 115. The Giants are a kind of bottom third pass defense, allowing 7.31 yards per attempt passing this season, with Mahomes back home, with Tyreek Hill getting an extra day to rest that quad and get it a little bit healthier, with Travis Kelce being Travis Kelce. I do think we see a big rebound performance from that Chiefs offense, most notably Patrick Mahomes. I see you rocking the Kelce shirt there. I don't know if he has a massive game, but certainly better than whatever it was the Chiefs showed against the Titans last week. That was abysmal. All right, Anita, hang tight. We're going to hop into the octagon. That means I need to bring in our friend Ian Parker to discuss the UFC 268 huge pay-per-view that is on deck this weekend. Ian, we appreciate you joining us here on Bet to help us break it down. What a matchup we have on this. We have a few great matchups. The one I'm most excited about, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler, might be one of the best on the card, despite it not necessarily being a headliner. You do have Gaethje installed as the minus 190 favorite, Chandler plus 160 on the comeback. How are you approaching this bout?
Look, if you're looking for the right type of violence, the right type of battle and war, you got two guys here that are fighting for everything in the division. You know both guys are going to bring the striking. They're going to come forward. They're going to meet right in the middle. The biggest difference for me here is going to be the chin of Justin Gaethje along with the kicks. This is a guy that when he takes out your legs, he takes away the power. And we've seen with Michael Chandler, as the fight goes on, sometimes he punches himself out and he tends to get tired, and then the chin goes with it. We also haven't seen Chandler go past the second round. We've seen Justin Gaethje go way further than that. So for me, if this line stays under minus 200, I'm going with Justin Gaethje. I believe in his skills. I believe in that power. And he's got the right coach in Trevor Whitman to really control that reckless abandon. Him being now a high IQ fighter with his striking, instead of just throwing to the wind, that's a dangerous Justin Gaethje, and I think he gets it done here.
All right, Ian, as long as it stays under $2, you are on Gaethje. That is noted. Let's hop over to the ladies' side. We have Rose Namajunas fighting Zhang Weili again, who she bested at UFC 261. Zhang Weili, pardon me, has been working, however, with Henry Cejudo on her wrestling to try and match Namajunas in this particular bout. And she is a minus 115 slight favorite, is Namajunas, over someone she's already beat in Zhang Weili. What do you think about this ladies' matchup?
Look, I'm excited. I wasn't exactly expecting this rematch because Rose won so handily and so quickly, but also in a situation like that, sometimes you really don't know how the fight's going to go past that. And for someone in Zhang Weili, her last 4 fights, 1 loss, 1 win by finish, and the other 2 by decision. Actually, the exact same thing as Rose. So if you take away that high kick, you got someone now in Zhang Weili training with Cejudo, like you mentioned. She's going there to work her wrestling game. That means that she wants to make sure she takes away from Rose's power. She believes if she brings the fight to the floor, she can control Rose there. However, Rose is excellent off her back, very active, excellent submissions. But for me, I'm not going to pick a side. I think this is too much of a coin flip. So where we're going to go is over 3.5 rounds. I believe that's the play. I think both come out a little hesitant with the striking. And if Zhang Weili is going to really implement that wrestling game, expect there to be a lot of grappling, a lot of holding, and a lot of defending by Rose. So we're going to get to the championship rounds in 4 and 5.
All right, Ian elected to attack the number of rounds instead of going over 3.5. And I will note for those who are watching out there, our graphic has it backwards. It's actually Weili who's the -115 slight favorite. Namajunas coming back at -105. But pretty much a coin flip, like you said, Ian. A very, very tight bout expected when these two ladies hop inside the octagon. All right, now let's take a look back on the men's side. The welterweight championship main event, also a run-it-back situation. Vegas early on making Kamaru Usman a heavy 3-1 favorite versus Colby Covington coming back at +240. We just saw Glover Teixeira knock off Jan Blachowicz in a similar type of championship bout where Teixeira was a more than $2 underdog, so to speak, against Blachowicz. So do you think we see another type of upset here, or is Usman the play as a heavier favorite?
Well, I think the difference between the two fights is that Glover Teixeira's path to victory was getting the fight to the floor where he would have the advantage in his jiu-jitsu. Here, I think that Kamaru Usman is just Colby Covington's kryptonite. Covington is a guy that puts out a lot of strikes, heavy volume, a really blistering pace, and fantastic wrestling. Kamaru Usman, the same type of fighter, except he carries more power. And if you look at the guy's evolution since their last fight, you had someone in Colby Covington who beat a fading Tyron Woodley. He did get the fight done, but you got Kamaru Usman who finished Gilbert Burns, who finished Jorge Masvidal, who does not get finished. So for me, I would lean Kamaru Usman's way. Now, however, betting that 3-1 for me straight is too much. So where I'm going to go, and I'm actually going to go over 3.5 rounds again in this fight because both guys just don't get finished. And for Colby Covington, outside of Tyron Woodley, his last finish was in 2016. And the same thing for Usman outside of his last 2 wins. I'm going over 3.5. I would also, if you do want to bet Kamaru Usman and maximize that value, throw him in a parlay, as I do think he retains the title.
All right, so you like the Usman side, but just straight up, as far as the favorite, $3 a little bit too heavy to lay in an MMA bout, which I certainly understand. It can end at any moment, but you do like Usman. Official play, though, over 3.5 rounds to maybe go a little deeper into the water than some would expect. If Usman does win this match and retain that belt, who's next?
You know, it comes down to a few other matchups. You got someone in Leon Edwards who's been knocking on that door for a little bit. He's got a fight with Masvidal coming up. If he wins, I expect him to be the #1 contender. If Jorge Masvidal plays spoiler, look for Vicente Luque, or look, you got Khamzat Chimaev, who is extremely impressive, 0 damage in that last fight, and he's the talk of the town. So for me, in that order, Edwards, Luque, Chimaev, those will be the next 3 guys lined up for Usman if he's able to retain.
Ian Parker joining us here on Bet on a Monday to get ready for a dynamite card and a dynamite weekend, UFC 268, as you can see on ESPN pay-per-view. Ian, we appreciate you joining us. Look forward to your coverage throughout the weekend leading up to the fights.
See you then.
All right, Anita Marks back with us after we hop out of the octagon and onto the diamond. That's right, the World Series continues, Anita, as the Astros stave off elimination in Game 5, 9-5 victory Sunday night in Atlanta against the Braves, which it looked like the Braves were going to win when Duvall hit that grand slam to open up a big early lead. But kudos to the Astros for clawing back and getting the victory. Now, if we get to a Game 7, both of those will take place on the Astros' home turf at Minute Maid Park. Game 6 is in the focus right now in our crosshairs. First and foremost, you got the Astros laying 125 plus 115 for the Braves on the comeback. A total of 8.5, 8:09 Eastern first pitch. Anita, how are you playing the all-crucial Game 6 in the World Series?
Well, a few things first. Not sure it was the right move to go to Davidson last night in the bullpen. I mean, he had not pitched since June 15th, and he only had pitched in 5 major league games. So pretty disappointed with that decision-making process with the Braves. In my opinion, they should have won it last night, but nonetheless, Too much juice right now in regard to the futures bet for Atlanta to win the series. But here's a great stat for you. You know, teams that have started 3-1 win the World Series 40 out of 46 times. So obviously, you know, the trend is on their side. In regard to the game tomorrow night, I'm going to take Atlanta on the money line. I'm going with Max Fried. It really comes down between him and Ian Anderson, but I'm hoping Max Fried going to have a better game than he did in Game 2. Keep in mind, Luis Garcia is only working on 3 days rest.
Yeah, I understand the liking the Braves given that trend, but the Braves did lose a 3-1 lead last year in the Dodgers on the way to the Dodgers getting into the World Series. So you wonder if that is at all fresh in their mind, although a couple of the principal players like Duvall and Eddie Rosario were not on that team a season ago. I'm going to stay away from picking a side and just attack the first 5 total, go over 4.5. If you go back to games 1 and 2 of this series, both of those games went over the first 5 total of 4.5 rather easily. The scoring kind of petered out as teams went to the bullpen. Game 2 went over 8.5. Game 1 stayed under 8.5 by just a run. So scoring has been more prolific at Houston. As a matter of fact, at Minute Maid Park this season, the over hitting at 57%. Only the Arizona ballpark had a higher over percentage than Minute Maid Park. So runs happen. The roof is enclosed. It's a great hitting environment, even though it's not cold in Houston. Obviously, any baseball game in November, you'd rather play indoors in a climate-controlled place, and that's what you get with Houston. So I like those offenses to stay hot, especially in the first 5 innings, over 4.5 runs. To the association we go. Rather busy Monday night in the NBA, and a few crucial matchups we want to look at. First and foremost, in the Eastern Conference, Anita, the upstart Chicago Bulls off to a good start, and the rather surprising, or disappointing, I should say, Boston Celtics. You got the Celtics laying 2.5 at home. No real injury issues here except for Patrick Williams being out for the Chicago Bulls. May not be a big name, but he is a starter who they count on as a lockdown defender. Total of 215.5. This one tips off at 7:30 tonight on the East Coast. How you playing Bulls and Celtics, Anita?
I like the Bulls. You got to buy in, right? And I like them on the money line tonight, even though they're going to be without some of their key players because of injuries. They're coming off a really impressive win against the Jags. Their only loss was the Knicks, and the Knicks, I'm here in New York, the Knicks are playing incredibly, and they only lost by 1. Levine's averaging 25 points. DeRozan has scored at least 20 points a game. They've got the 5th best scoring from downtown in the NBA from 3. And Boston just came off of a double overtime loss to Washington. So I'm all over the Bulls tonight on the money line. Also, Caruso, boy, has he just been a complete gnat, a pest. Defensively, he's averaging 3 steals a game, so give me over 1.5 steals for Caruso as well.
Yeah, you turned me on to that Caruso play, and with Patrick Williams out, they'll need a few more minutes from Caruso as a defensive stopper against the likes of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I like you. I'm going to take the points in my pocket with the Bulls. Give me that 2.5-point head start. The Bulls are 5-1 ATS this season. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics are 2-4 ATS this season. They're 0-2 straight up and 0-2 ATS at home. And they've been blown out in these games. They lost to the Toronto Raptors 115-83 in Boston, and they lost to the Washington Wizards, who have been better than expected, but still the Wizards 116-107. So they haven't really been close contests at home. I'm not sure those home struggles continue to this degree, but I think we need to respect the start that the Chicago Bulls have gotten off to 5-1 ATS this season. All right, you had it on your card up there as well. Another game we want to look at is the Raptors and the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks laying 7, a low total of 208. Saw you at that money line parlay, taking the Knicks and pairing it with the Bulls. Anything else you have on this game?
That's how I'm playing it. Listen, A.J. Barrett is having a season as well. He's coming off a game. He scored 35 points. This is a Knicks team. They are draining threes. They're averaging over 40 threes a game. Defensively, they're playing well as well. And, of course, for the Raptors, as we know, Barnes is going to be out because of a hand-wrist injury. So that's how I'm going to play it. A 2-team money line parlay with the Knicks and the Bulls tonight, Tyler.
Yeah, R.J. Barrett has been really, really good alongside Julius Randle, who's playing good ball. Kemba Walker's been a great addition there. I would lean the Knicks side, but I did find a prop that I really love here. You mentioned Scotty Barnes being out with that hand injury. Pascal Siakam is still on the sideline as well. So OG Anunoby is alongside Fred VanVleet, a guy who's going to soak up all that usage. I'll go over 25.5 points, assists, and rebounds. We call it par. This is a guy in 73 minutes with Scotty Barnes off the floor is averaging 22, 7, and 4 per 36 minutes. So that is, real quick, Mac, 33 points, assists, and rebounds if he plays 36 minutes. Lo and behold, his minute average this season is exactly 35.8. So I think as long as Anunoby and the Raptors keep this game competitive and he can get to his normal allotment of minutes, I think he goes over 25.5 par tonight against the Knicks. All right, that'll do it for another Monday edition of Bet. I want to thank Ian Parker and the red-hot Mike Tannenbaum for Anita Marks. I am Tyler Fulghum. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We'll see you back here Thursday for another edition of Bet.
Go Giants! Go Giants!